Welcome to Tight HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning. Oh, man. Good morning. I'm Todd DeVoe, and I am the director of Titan HST's Emergency Management. And I've been involved in responding to emergencies and disasters since, a long time ago, since 1989. So in addition to the work I do here at Titan HST, I'm an educator teaching in the post-secondary level, and learning and sharing what I've learned is a passion for me. And man, I have a little bit of a cough going on today. Let me take a sip. Man, so today we're going to be learning a little bit more and discussing the recovery of Pearl Harbor. It's kind of an interesting concept today that we're taking a look at, historic events such as Pearl Harbor. Take a look at Gettysburg, for instance, over at EMI, and looking at taking the principles of emergency management and applying it to the recovery aspect of this. I have a friend of mine who's out in Germany right now, and he's doing a lot of work using the principles of emergency management to recover from war-torn areas in Eastern Europe. So that makes a lot of sense. But let's talk about Pearl Harbor. Today, December 7th, 1941 is the day that lives in infamy, where the United States was attacked by Japan in Pearl Harbor. So it's Pearl Harbor Day, everybody. And the beautiful island of Hawaii was a mess on that day. As the sun set, the skyline was a massive fireball with people working through the night, trying to find survivors within the flames. At the same time, they were very afraid of another attack that was coming. The second attack never came for various different reasons, but it didn't. And this is what the conditions that they're working on. The Marines and soldiers and sailors that were there were disheartened. They just got hit hard on a Sunday, and they were just really confused what was happening. And so just kind of put yourself into that set. We're at war at this point. Those Marines and sailors and soldiers that were on Hawaii understood this more than probably any did at that time. And as they couldn't decide to, as they went forth and tried to recover and put the fires out and rescue their fellow service members, it was work that had to be done. Marines and sailors from all over the country wanted to go over to Pearl Harbor to help out, and they sent troops and sailors, Marines from California, San Francisco, and San Diego over there to start working on the recovery. They worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to restore that region. Luckily, in one aspect of it, was only the Pearl Harbor that really got hit, a couple other places, but mostly the damage was over there. Other parts of the island were unscathed, and so workers from around the island came to help out with the recovery as well. The amazing part about it was within a few months of the attack, there were 3 battleships, the USS Pennsylvania, the Maryland, and Tennessee, and many smaller ships that were returned to service back and ready to go. They were ready to go back, and they're back in the fight. The USS Nevada had a number of holes, including one large in the hull, and it was never active again, not until the end of 1942. The USS California was hit by 2 torpedoes and a bomb, and was refloated and rebuilt to return to combat in 1944. The recovery took about 2 years specifically to get from the harbor to be 100% back and working with all the ships up and running again. But the crazy part about it was only a few months until the harbor was functional again. See, to understand adequately the staggering problem that the engineers faced in 1941, was you need to go back and take a look at Pearl Harbor as it laid in silence after the attack. The battleship Nevada staggered a number of ways of heavy bombing as it punctured by torpedoes, and it never got to leave Battleship Row, and it breached itself in the channel and sank. So they had to really pull that back up in order to be able to use that channel again. It's amazing to think of all of the people that were working on this to get these ships back to dry dock and into afloat, for that matter, to move those ships around. According to the Naval History Heritage Command, the Navy and civilian divers spent a total of 20,000 hours underwater during doing salvage operations, making around 5,000 dives. Most of the time, and this is think about the technology back then too, right? It was like older technology. It wasn't like the hard hat divers of today. And the divers had to wear gas masks to avoid the toxic fumes and the oil that spilled. So there's oil and gases and all these chemicals were still blowing out of the ships at this time as they're trying to do the salvage and repair. And also they were recovering the sailors and Marines that died on those ships. We have to really reflect on the work that was being done at this time, the horrific human conditions that were happening at this point, right? And the bravery it took to get into that water. You know, the thing that we can look back at as today is looking at 9/11 and what happened at the Twin Towers and the recovery that went down there as well. And the thousands and thousands of men and women that went to the towers and the hours they put into the recovery. Very similar to what happened over in Pearl Harbor in 1941. You know, memorials at the site have been in place since then, and just at the end of 1949. In 1962, the USS Arizona Memorial was opened. Pearl Harbor Day celebrates a Pearl Harbor still activates an active U.S. naval base there, and actually the USS Arizona is still an active naval ship. My friends, a couple of them, Wayne Johnson and Aaron Siebert, they actually re-enlisted on the USS Pearl Harbor, USS Pearl Harbor, and USS Arizona in Pearl Harbor, and it was such a cool ceremony to be part of. That very few sailors get to do that re-enlistment there. Today, as remember Pearl Harbor here in the United States, it's a time to reflect. For the United States sailors and Marines, today holds a special place for us. It was the start of the U.S. involvement in World War II and the bloody Pacific Campaign. 2,403 service members died this day in 1941. And many more sailors and Marines and soldiers would be lost to war as well in the coming years. For all those that we lost, fair winds and fallen seas, my friends. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. And may the sun shine warm upon your face. And the rains fall soft upon your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in your hand, or may God hold you in the palm of his hand. An old Irish saying. Thank you for being with us today. And visit Titan HST for all your communication needs. And remember to follow us on your favorite podcast player, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And join us until next week. Stay safe and stay hydrated.